Today, we're diving into the really cool link between a chemical you find in broccoli and that deep muscle burn you feel after a killer workout. It's a story about what happens inside our cells, a hidden defense system, and a natural compound that might just change the game.
You totally know the feeling, right? You've pushed yourself, you gave it everything you had, and then the next day, oh man, every muscle is screaming. Now, we might wear that soreness like a badge of honor, but what's really going on inside our bodies on a microscopic level?
See, down at the cellular level, your body is dealing with something called oxidative stress. A great way to think about it is like biological rust. When your muscles are firing on all cylinders, they're using a ton of oxygen, and this process creates these unstable molecules called reactive oxygen species, or ROS for short.
And here's the paradox of exercise, right? That short-term stress is exactly what our bodies need to adapt and get stronger. But there's a tipping point. If those reactive oxygen species start to overwhelm our body's own natural defenses, it can lead to way more inflammation, fatigue, and that feeling of being completely drained.
But what if there was a way to help our bodies fight back? What if a natural compound, hiding in a vegetable you probably have in your fridge right now, could give our internal defense systems a major boost exactly when we need it most?
So, let's meet the hero of this story, sulforaphane, or SFN. It's this amazing phytochemical found in cruciferous veggies. Yep, like broccoli. But what's really cool is how it works. SFN is what's known as an indirect antioxidant, and we're going to unpack exactly what that means.
This brings us to the big question that a group of scientists wanted to answer. Could just a single dose of this broccoli compound, given before a workout, actually protect our muscles from all that inflammation and oxidative stress that comes from pushing ourselves to the absolute limit?
To find out, they came up with this really elegant experiment. The subjects? 36 mice, all ready for the workout of a lifetime on a little mouse-sized treadmill. Here's how they set the whole thing up.
The researchers split the mice into 4 groups. First, you had your control group. They were just chilling, no exercise, no compound. Then you had a group that got the sulforaphane but didn't have to work out. Next up, a group that got just water and then had to run on that treadmill until they were totally wiped. And finally, the key group. They got the sulforaphane 2 hours before their own grueling run. This setup was perfect because it let the scientists see exactly what the compound was doing.
So, the big moment. What did they find when they actually looked inside the muscles of these mice? Well, first, they checked for markers of inflammation. You know, the body's first responders to the damage from that intense workout.
And the first major finding was, wow, just look at this. This chart shows the levels of a key inflammatory marker, IL-6. In the mice that only exercised, you can see inflammation was sky high, but check out the group that got sulforaphane beforehand. That inflammation was slashed. I mean, it's a huge difference.
So, the takeaway here is crystal clear. The mice that got the broccoli compound beforehand had way less inflammation in their muscles after that exhaustive run. That is a massive win for sulforaphane, but it's only half the story.
The researchers then shifted their focus from the bad stuff, like inflammation, to the good stuff, the body's own internal army of antioxidant enzymes. How did these critical defenders hold up against such a tough workout?
And this is where it gets really fascinating. Take a look at the levels of a key antioxidant enzyme called SOD1. It's one of the body's first lines of defense. In the group that only exercised, its levels actually went down. The system was just getting overwhelmed. But in the sulforaphane group, its levels weren't just protected, they were dramatically increased.
So, think about what this really means. Sulforaphane didn't just show up and clean up the mess. No, it actually armed the muscle's own defense systems so they could better handle the stress themselves. It basically helps the body help itself.
Okay, so this all leads to the million-dollar question. How? How in the world does one compound from broccoli do all this? What's the biological secret that lets it supercharge our internal defenses so effectively?
Well, the answer lies in this incredibly powerful signaling pathway, and it's all controlled by a protein that has a very, very important job. It's called the NRF2 pathway. The best way to think of NRF2 is as the master regulatory switch for your cell's entire defense system. When this switch gets flipped on, it unleashes this whole cascade of protective genes, including those very antioxidant enzymes we just saw, like SOD1. NRF2 is the general that tells the troops to get ready for battle.
And the data backs this up perfectly. This chart here shows the activation of NRF2 itself. Now, exercise alone gives it a little nudge, sure.
But look what happens when sulforaphane is in the picture. The activation of this master switch is cranked way up, getting the cell ready for all the stress that's about to come. And this is the true power of an indirect antioxidant. See, sulforaphane isn't the soldier fighting on the front lines, it's more like the messenger that runs to the command center and tells the general, our friend NRF2, to wake up and deploy the entire defensive army.
Okay, so that's the fascinating science of what happened with the mice. But let's bring it back. What does this study really mean for us? What are the big takeaways here?
Let's just do a quick recap. We know that when we push our limits, it creates this storm of inflammation and oxidative stress. This study showed that a single dose of sulforaphane was able to seriously reduce those negative effects. And the way it did it was so cool, not by just being another antioxidant, but by flipping that NRF2 master switch, which then boosted the muscle's own internal defense squad.
What this really drives home is the incredible power of nutrition as a signaling tool. It's not just about calories or fuel. The right compounds can literally communicate with our cells, helping them prepare for stress and making the whole recovery process way more efficient.
And that leaves us with a really compelling thought. Now, of course, this was a mouse study, but it opens up some seriously fascinating possibilities. Could the future of optimizing our recovery from our toughest workouts be as simple as taking a closer look at what's in our salad bowl?